They dragged my name through the mud and called it justice. They held a trial without a voice and called it truth. They pointed at me with clean hands and dirty hearts. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. I remember the gate closing, like a jaw. I remember the looks, not anger, not pity, amusement, that quiet kind of laughter that hides behind lips and kills louder than a shout. I wore that laughter like chains. I wore their judgment like a brand. They stripped me of my name, left me naked in shadows. They took the light and told me to find my own. So I learned to see in the dark. I learned the shapes of betrayal. I learned the weight of silence and how it breaks the spine. Nights bled into one another. The stars were needles, and I was a patient that never healed. I counted regrets instead of sheep. I counted breaths because I was not sure the next one would come. I tasted the metal of shame. I swallowed it. It burned. It made a furnace in my chest. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. But I did not rot. I listened to the wind that carried their whispers, to the ground that remembered my footsteps, to the voice inside me that would not die, even when everything else did. Do you know that voice? The one that wakes you when the world is asleep. The one that tells you to keep going when your legs are broken. The one that sits beside your fear and refuses to move. I met that voice in the cold. We kept each other alive. I spoke to the walls of my exile. They answered with echoes. I spoke to the scars on my skin. They answered with stories. Every wound had a chapter. Every bruise had a lesson. Shame tried to rewrite me, but pain held the pen. I was taught to be small, to apologize for existing, to bow so low my forehead. Learned the taste of dirt. But in the dirt, there were roots. And roots remember. They remember who planted them. They remember where water hides. I drank from that hidden river. I fed my hunger with patience. Their silence grew heavy. It pressed on my ribs until breathing felt like theft. I stole the air anyway. I took what they swore. I did not deserve another morning. Then another, and another. Each one a rebellion. Each one a promise I carved into the dark. There were nights when my name felt like a stranger's face. When I could not tell the difference between punishment and destiny. When my reflection looked back at me with eyes I did not recognize. I asked it questions. Who are you now? What are you without the house that held you? What are you without the hands that shaped you wrong? The answers came slowly, like fire waking under wet wood, like a heartbeat crawling back from the edge. I learned I was not what they called me, not the sum of whispers, not the echo of their fear. I was the blade they tried to dull with mockery. I was the storm they prayed would pass. I did not pass. I learned to circle. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. But I was seed, not corpse. Exile was a coffin to them. To me it was a greenhouse without glass. Every insult was sunlight. Every lie was rain. I grew where they could not see. I grew where their footsteps would never think to tread. Look at yourself. Look at the scars that map your skin. Do you see weakness? Or do you see proof? Proof that you crawled through the teeth of night and kept your voice. Proof that you were cut and did not bleed your soul away. I carried humiliation like a stone in my mouth. I learned its shape. I learned how to speak around it until it turned smooth, until it could not choke me anymore. They thought shame would silence me. It taught me articulation. It sharpened me. It showed me how to say no without sound, and how to say never again without mercy. I counted the people who turned their faces. I ran out of numbers. So I stopped counting. I started crafting. A spine out of losses. A will out of ashes. A name out of the letters they tried to burn. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. Say it with me. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. Good. Now listen. I am still here. I was a rumor in their mouths. I became a truth in my own. I was a shadow in their doorways. I became the night that swallowed their road. I was the quiet they mistook for defeat. I became the vow that would not break. If you are lost, stand with me. If you are nameless, speak with me. If you are buried, breathe with me. We were cast out to disappear. We learned how to appear like thunder. They stripped me of my name, left me naked in shadows. So I clothed myself in resolve. I wore hunger like armor. I tied rage around my wrists, so I would never drop the fight. I pressed my ear to the ground and heard tomorrow moving. Slow, but moving. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. And in the dark, I discovered the simplest truth. No one is coming. No one is saving you. No one is lifting the stone from your chest. So I lifted it, with bloody hands, with shaking arms, with a spine that sang like wire. I lifted it, and I learned my own strength. That was the first freedom. That was the first breath that tasted like fire. Remember this. If they make a grave from your name, plant yourself. If they make a cage from their words, chew through the bars. If they laugh, let their teeth become your steps. If they pray for your end, let their prayers become your beginning. They banished me. They forgot me. They buried me. But I did not end. I began. Every scar they gave me, every wound they carved into my skin, every lie they whispered into the air, I carry them still, but not as chains, not as curses. No, they thought scars were signs of weakness. They thought wounds were proof of failure. They thought lies could bury the truth. But they were wrong, because scars are not shame. They are scripture. They are carved reminders of survival. Every mark is a verse, every burn a hymn, every fracture a testimony. My broken bones became the pillars of my rise. The pain they dealt me became the bricks of my fortress. The blood they drew became the ink with which I rewrote my story. I was not destroyed. I was reforged. I was not silenced. I was sharpened. Every scar, every wound, every lie, they became weapons in my hands. When they mocked me, I swallowed the venom and turned it to fire. When they struck me down, I learned the taste of dust and grew addicted to the climb. When they left me to starve, I learned to feast on hunger. When they tried to drown me, I grew gills in the dark. Do you understand? I rose not because of them, but because of me. Because no one came. Because no one cared. Because silence was my teacher, and pain was my only companion. I learned to bleed without fear. I learned to hurt without begging. I learned to stand when standing felt impossible. And every time I rose higher. Every time I broke, I rebuilt stronger. Every time they lied, I learned truth sharper than steel. Every scar, every wound, every lie. Look at me now. These hands, once trembling, now hold power. These eyes, once clouded with tears, now see with clarity. This heart, once shattered, beats like war drums. And this soul, once buried in shame, has become unshakable. I was alone. No allies, no saviors, no guiding hand. But I discovered the only truth worth knowing. The world owes you nothing. And when you finally accept that, you become unstoppable. They gave me nothing, so I built everything. They gave me silence, so I created a voice that roars across their walls. They gave me wounds, so I forged an armor they can never pierce. Every scar, every wound, every lie, I wear them all. I flaunt them, because what they meant for ruin became my resurrection. What they meant for weakness became my weapon. What they meant for death became my dominion. Do you see these marks? They are not reminders of defeat. They are the map of my becoming. They are the proof that I cannot be killed. Not by betrayal, not by exile, not by shame. My broken bones became the pillars of my rise. My agony became my architecture. My loneliness became my kingdom. And my rage became my crown. I want you to remember this truth. When the world leaves you broken, you are not ending. You are beginning. When they strip you of everything, they are not burying you. They are planting you. And the deeper they dig, the higher you will rise. Every scar, every wound, every lie. Say it again. Every scar, every wound, every lie. They thought it would end me. It only awakened me. And now I stand, not in spite of my scars, but because of them. I was left in silence, not the soft kind, not the kind that comforts, the kind that claws at your skull, the kind that gnaws on your ribs, the kind that turns loneliness into a weapon. At first it suffocated me. I choked on it. I begged for a sound, any sound to remind me I was still alive. But silence became a furnace, and inside that furnace, I began to burn. I was ash, cold, forgotten, buried in the grave of their betrayal. But ash is not an ending. Ash is the beginning of fire. I burned. I rose. I refused to kneel. Do you know what happens when you spend enough time alone with your demons? You stop running from them. You look them in the eye. You shake their hand. You make them your army. That is what I did. My hunger became ambition. My scars became blueprints. My rage became fuel. And the fire within me roared louder than any chain they wrapped around my throat. They thought exile would kill me. It lit me. They thought shame would drown me. It baptized me in flames. They thought I would fade. But I became a blaze they could never smother. I burned. I rose. I refused to kneel. I found purpose in that fire. Not mercy. Not peace. But vengeance. Not the kind painted in blood. The kind painted in victory. Every success became a dagger. Every triumph a scar on their pride. Every breath I took in defiance was a battle cry. So I was ash. Now I burn as fire no storm can kill. Their storms came. Winds howled. Rains fell. Shadows tried to choke me. But fire laughs at storms. Lightning only fed me. Winds only spread me. And the dark only made my flames shine brighter. They underestimated me. They thought I was finished. They thought I was broken. But what is underestimated is always the deadliest. Because no one sees it coming until it devours the sky. I burned. I rose. I refused to kneel. Listen to me, to the ones who were mocked, abandoned, erased. You are not weak. You are kindling. The world tried to reduce you to nothing. But nothing is the soil where fire is born. And once you ignite, they will never put you out. I turned my loneliness into an inferno. I turned my silence into a roar. I turned my tears into sparks. Every drop a flame. Every flame a war. And war was the only language I chose to speak. They gave me exile. I gave myself purpose. They gave me shame. I gave myself fury. They gave me nothing. I gave myself everything. Do you understand the truth? The ones who burn in silence, who endure without applause, who claw their way through nights of emptiness, they are the ones the world should fear, because they are not softened by love or comfort or safety. They are sharpened by fire, and fire does not forgive. I was ash, now I burn as fire. No storm can kill. Say it with me. I burned, I rose, I refused to kneel. Again, I burned, I rose, I refused to kneel. Let them watch, let them fear, let them tremble in the glow of the flames they created. For I am fire, and fire bows to no one. They thought my fall was comedy. They thought my suffering was entertainment. They thought my silence was weakness. And so they laughed. They laughed when I stumbled. They laughed when I broke. They laughed when my name was dragged through dirt. They laughed when I was cast aside. Their laughter was not just sound. It was a knife. Every smile was a dagger. Every whisper was poison. Every smirk was a chain tightened around my throat. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. I remember their eyes, wide, gleaming with delight, as they watched me collapse. Friends who vanished into shadows. Family who turned their backs with ease. Enemies who celebrated as though they had won forever. Their arrogance was a feast. Their cruelty was music. And their laughter became a haunting echo in my skull, a song I could never silence. It chased me in the dark. It clawed at my dreams. It danced in the flames of my rage. They thought their laughter would crush me. Instead, it became the rhythm of my march. Step after step, I moved to its beat. Mockery became my drum. Disdain became my anthem. And every sneer was a spark that fed the inferno inside me. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. I weaponized their arrogance. I sharpened their words until they cut them instead of me. I took their jeers and forged them into blades. Blades I carry in silence. Blades that pierce their pride every time they hear my name. Do you know what power is? It is not gold. It is not crowns. It is not the throne they worship. Power is the silence that follows laughter when the joke turns against the joker. Power is the moment their smirk cracks into fear. Power is watching the ones who mocked you choke on their own shame. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. Look at me now. The ones who ridiculed me hide their eyes. The ones who mocked me whisper instead of shout. The ones who celebrated my downfall now beg for my mercy. But mercy was buried with me in exile. I dug up only rage. Their arrogance was a coffin. Their silence nailed it shut. But they forgot something. I was not the corpse. I was the ghost. And ghosts always return. Their laughter is still with me. But it no longer hurts. It fuels. It reminds. It keeps the fire alive when comfort tempts me to grow soft. It keeps me sharp when the world whispers, enough. It keeps me awake when the dream of peace tries to put me back to sleep. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. So I thank them. I thank their cruelty. I thank their betrayal. I thank their laughter, because it became my weapon, my reminder, my war cry. Without it, perhaps I would have stayed broken. Without it, perhaps I would have begged for forgiveness. Without it, perhaps I would have remained small. But with it, I became monstrous. With it, I became unyielding. With it, I became the storm they cannot stop. So laugh again. Laugh louder, because every echo of your mockery only makes my voice stronger. Every grin you bear only sharpens my teeth. Every joke you whisper only feeds the fire that will one day consume you. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. And now the laughter is gone. Now the silence is theirs. And I stand before them, not broken, not begging, not ashamed. I stand as the nightmare they created, the reckoning they summoned, the empire they cannot escape. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I rose. And I promise you this, they will keep crying. They broke me. They broke me with their words. They broke me with their silence. They broke me with their laughter. But breaking me was their first mistake. Because when they shattered me, I learned how to rebuild. Piece by piece, scar by scar, breath by breath. I built myself from the rubble they left me in. I gathered the fragments of my spirit like broken glass and forged them into blades. I stitched together my wounds with threads of fire. I carved a throne out of the stone. They tried to bury me under. They broke me. I built me. I became more. Do you hear that? It is the sound of power returning. The sound of a voice they could not silence. The sound of thunder rolling across the horizon. I came back, not crawling, not begging, not seeking their approval. I came back as the storm. The very storm they unleashed. The thunder they cannot silence. The lightning they cannot catch. The rain that floods their walls and drowns their pride. I am no longer the outcast. I am no longer the exile. I am no longer the broken child they buried in shame. I am the empire they feared would rise. And I have risen. They broke me. I built me. I became more. Look at yourself. Look at your wounds. Look at the dust on your hands, the cracks in your bones, the weight on your chest. They told you it would end you. They told you you sit, never rise. But here you stand, breathing, living, defying. If I can rise from dust, so can you. If I can turn exile into empire, so can you. If I can take their mockery and mold it into fire, so can you. They think power is inherited. They think it's gifted, handed down, written into bloodlines. But real power is built in the dark. Real power is born in silence. Real power is carved from pain. And real power cannot be taken, because it was forged in the unbreakable furnace of survival. I built my life with my own hands. I built my identity from the ashes of the one they destroyed. I built my empire with no crown, no throne, no blessing. And still, it stands higher than theirs. Do you see it? The world that cast me aside now trembles at my return. The doors that slammed shut now creak open. The mouths that mocked now whisper my name with fear. The same hands that pointed me to the dirt now reach toward me for mercy. But mercy is for saints. And I was never one. They broke me. I built me. I became more. I am the storm they unleashed. I am the thunder they cannot silence. I am the flood that cannot be contained. I am the fire they cannot smother. And I will not stop. Not until the world that mocked me drowns in the echoes of my name. Not until every scar they gave me shines brighter than their crowns. Not until every lie they spoke becomes their own prison. They broke me. I built me. I became more. Remember this truth. You do not need their blessing. You do not need their acceptance. You do not need their mercy. You need only your fire, your scars, your will. That is your empire. That is your throne. That is your crown. If I can rise from dust, so can you. If I can become the storm, so can you. If I can be more than they ever dreamed, so can you. They broke me. I built me. I became more. And now I am untouchable. They thought time would erase me. They thought silence would smother me. They thought exile would be my grave. But when I returned, it was not I who trembled. It was them. The same people who mocked me now hide behind lowered eyes. The same voices that laughed now stumble on my name. The same hands that cast me out now shake in fear. This is the shape of justice. Not mercy, not forgiveness, but regret. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. Every triumph I carved into the world became a weight on their chest. Every victory I claimed was a mirror held to their failure. Every headline of my triumph is a chain on their necks. They cannot escape me. They cannot outrun me. Because my rise is stitched into their downfall. They hear my name and choke. They see my face and flinch. They feel my presence and collapse beneath the shadow I cast. Once I was their shame. Now I am their nightmare. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. Do you see their eyes? Wide, hollow, trembling. Once they sparkled with laughter at my fall. Now they are haunted by ghosts of what they lost, what they betrayed, what they failed to kill. They cannot look at me without tasting their own cowardice. They cannot speak my name without swallowing their regret. Their arrogance was a stage. Their laughter was applause. Their betrayal was the curtain call. But now, I am the encore they never expected. And they cannot leave the theater. Every crown they wear feels lighter, cheaper, because it pales against mine. Every victory they claim crumbles, because my shadow swallows it whole. Every breath they take feels stolen, because it echoes with the memory of the one they cast aside. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. They come to me now, whispering apologies shaped like prayers, begging forgiveness with trembling lips. But I do not forgive. I do not forget. I do not kneel. Their regret is my justice. Their tears are my inheritance. Their silence is my music. Do you hear it? The sound of their pride cracking. The sound of their arrogance collapsing. The sound of their regret choking them in the night. They once said, I was nothing. Now everything I am screams in their ears. They once said I would never rise. Now my empire blocks their sun. They once said I was dead. Now they live each day inside my shadow. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. And I will not release them. I will not free them. Because their punishment is not death. It is life. Life lived beneath me. Be life lived in the ruins of their own arrogance. Life lived with the knowledge that they created the monster that devoured their world. So let them weep. Let them beg. Let them tremble. Because I will not reach down to lift them. I will not silence the fire. I will not give them peace. Every step I take is a reminder. Every word I speak is a wound. Every triumph I claim is another shackle on their souls. They are prisoners of my rise. They are slaves to my success. They are condemned by my very existence. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. And as long as I breathe, they will never be free. They will live in my shadow. They will choke on my glory. They will drown in their own regret. This is justice. This is vengeance. This is victory. My success is their prison. My name is their sentence. And their regret is eternal. They named me villain. They painted me in shadows. They cursed me as the outcast, the wretch, the shame. Then I wore it. I wore it until it became my second skin, until it no longer burned, until it crowned me. I no longer run from the darkness. I no longer fight it. I am it. I am the echo they tried to silence. I am the silence they ignored. I am the empire they now serve. Let them beg, let them crawl, let them choke on regret. My throne is not gold. It is not marble. It is not gifted by kings or priests. My throne is built from scars, layer upon layer of wounds hardened into stone. Each betrayal a foundation, each insult a pillar, each exile a step leading me higher. And my crown, not jewels, not silver, not tradition. My crown is forged from betrayal, hammered in fire, welded by rage, polished by the tears of those who thought me broken. I sit upon it now, not as a beggar, not as a son, not as a friend, but as something more, something untouchable, something unstoppable, something eternal. Let them beg, let them crawl, let them choke on regret. They wanted me silent. Now my voice shakes the sky. They wanted me bowed. Now I rise higher than their gods. They wanted me erased. Now my name is etched into stone, carved into memory, whispered in fear. I was the exile. I was the forgotten. I was the ghost they buried. But ghosts do not fade. Ghosts do not die. Ghosts become legends, and legends become empires. Do you understand? This is not about revenge anymore. This is not about them. This is about power. The kind born from ruin. The kind built from ashes. The kind no crown, no army, no empire can erase. They stand before me now, trembling. But I no longer look at them with hate. They are beneath hate. Hate would mean they still matter. And they do not. They are dust. They are echoes. They are the chorus to my rise. Their laughter was the first note. Their betrayal the drumbeat. Their silence the rhythm. And my voice, the final crescendo. Let them beg. Let them crawl. Let them choke on regret. I speak now to the ones like me. The broken, the banished, the forgotten. They call us villains because we refuse to kneel. They call us monsters because we refuse to die. They call us dangerous because we are no longer chained by their rules, their lies, their crowns. And they are right. We are dangerous. We are storms they cannot cage. We are fires they cannot smother. We are shadows they cannot kill. I am the silence they ignored. I am the storm they unleashed. I am the empire they now serve. This is the throne of shadows, not built for saints, not blessed by gods, built for the forsaken, crowned for the broken, raised by the hands of the abandoned. And I claim it, without apology, without mercy, without shame. Let them beg, let them crawl, let them choke on regret. For I will not descend, I will not bow, I will not fade, I will reign, in darkness, in fire, in silence, forever. There was a time when every thought in me burned with vengeance. Every breath was war. Every heartbeat was a battle cry. But listen closely. That hunger is gone, not because I forgave, not because I forgot, but because I surpassed it. Revenge is for those who still kneel to the past. I do not kneel. Now it is no longer about them. It is about me. It is about what I have become, what I have built, what I will leave behind. From nothing to everything. I was the ghost they buried. They thought the soil would keep me silent. But ghosts do not stay underground. Ghosts rise. Ghosts linger. Ghosts become stories whispered across centuries. And I have become more than a ghost. I am the empire they bow to. From nothing to everything. Do you see the truth now? They wanted me erased. Instead, I became unforgettable. They wanted me broken. Instead, I became unshakable. They wanted me gone. Instead, I became eternal. My scars will outlive their crowns. My fire will outlast their thrones. My name will echo when theirs is dust. Because I did not just rise to take back what was stolen. I rose to become untouchable. From nothing to everything. And you, yes, you who listens in silence, who carries your own wounds, your own shadows, this is your inheritance too. Not the riches of their approval, not the gold of their false smiles, but the legacy of endurance. The proof that you are more than what they called you. The truth that no one buries fire. I was ash. Now I burn as a sun. I was silence. Now I thunder across eternity. I was the ghost they buried. Now I am the empire they bow to. From nothing to everything. Let them speak of me with fear. Let them remember me with trembling. Let them tell their children of the one they cast out, who returned as legend, who returned as empire, who returned as eternal. I do not need their love. I do not need their forgiveness. I do not need their praise, because I have carved my name into time itself. And time does not bow. Time remembers. So write it down. Etch it in stone. Carve it into the bones of history. From nothing to everything. From silence to thunder. From ghost to empire. This is my legacy. This is my eternity. This is who I am. I was the ghost they buried. Now I am the empire they bow to. From nothing to everything.